This is me, Mary C, and I'm coming back today to do another canning video. This one is a little bit more advanced than the other one, but because I'm going to be canning chicken and I'm going to be canning ground beef. So the chicken, I want to process that. I want to do a cold, a raw pack of the chicken, which means that it's going to be cold. Everything's going to be cold. The chicken's going to be cold. The jars are going to be cold, and the pressure canner is going to be cold as well, and the water inside. And you do that because you don't want to put cold jars into a hot canner because you could crack or break your jars. I am going to be working with pint-sized jars, regular mouth. I didn't show, excuse me for getting out of the camera like that. I didn't show before that there is a difference between, this is pint, a regular mouth, and a wide mouth. You see this one's been used. I used it before, but this is a wide mouth, and this is a regular mouth. And we're going to be using the, excuse me again, the regular mouth today. And let me show you my little cheat sheet here I have on the refrigerator. So on my cheat sheet, I pretty much have the times so that I can remember of how long to process the different items that I am going to can. So for example, I have here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, probably not too good, huh? But I have here, I don't know if you can see where the meat is. I have the meat here. And then you see that there is the chicken. I'm going to do the chicken in the pint-sized jars. So that means it's going to have to be processed for 75 minutes. If I was doing quart size, it would be 90 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do for, I'm going to follow for the chicken. But I just kind of put this in a spreadsheet and printed it out. And then afterwards, I realized that I needed to know what amount of jars and the types of jars that would fit in my particular pressure canner. And so I found out that I can put regular mouth quarts, 7 of them in my canner, and regular mouth pints, I can put 18 in there. And that's just my little handy dandy list there that I wanted to share with you. So that kind of helps me. So what I did was I prepped, I have a little over 18 jars just in case. I know only 18 will go in and I will only process 18, but just in case something goes wrong with one of the jars, step back. In case something goes wrong with one of the jars, I have an extra one all set, clean and ready. So everything's been sterilized. I have my rims and my lids all already prepped. I showed you the wide mouth lid beforehand that had the writing on it. When I do a new session of canning, I know other YouTubers have said that they don't, but because the guideline tells you to use new ones, I use new ones. I have heard that there are people who, I've seen them on YouTube, and they have used theirs more than once, and I guess it works for them. But to be on the safe side, to make sure that my products seal so that I'm not killing anybody in my family with botulism or any other types of poisons, I use a new seal. So that's what the guidelines say. So that's what I follow. So I'm going to put this over to the side here and come back over. So what I have is about 11 pounds of ground beef. I've got a portion, I've got about 3 pounds right now. Is that 3? No, I've got about a pound and a half in the frying pan right now, and it's going. So I've got a pound and a half in here. All together with the ground beef, I've got about 11 pounds. I have about 11 pounds also of the chicken breast. and they're still a little frozen, so I'm going to have to really work with those. But I've got about a pound and a half, about 11 pounds, I'm sorry. I've got about 11 pounds of the chicken breast that I am planning on processing today. And to process the chicken, that's super simple. The ground beef takes a little bit more because I'm going to cook the ground beef until it is all browned. There are people who cook it till it's pink or got a little pink in it. They don't cook it all the way through because I know it will cook in the pressure can. I personally like the way the end result of mine is, so I cook mine till it's brown. I drain it, and then it's going to sit in this stock pot until I'm finished with the chicken. But I will brown this completely, drain the oils from it, and it'll go in here. And hopefully it will have cooled by the time that I get to the chicken and process the chicken. To process the chicken, all I'm going to do is clean it real good, and then I'm going to cut it up into about 1-inch chunks and, prior to putting it in the jars. I'm not using any broth or any liquids today for either the ground beef or the chicken. So they are going to build up and create their own juices, and it's good. It's good. So what I will do is for the ground beef and the chicken, I'm a garlic person. I love my garlic. And I love onions. So I am going to put in the ground beef and the chicken some garlic powder, and I'm also going to put in onion powder. And then for the chicken breast only, I will also put in some canning salt. And if you're going to use salt in your foods, use the canning salt. That's what the guidelines call for, so that's what I use. I use the canning salt. I think that others may use another type of salt, maybe sea salt or something like that, but not iodine, because I think iodine does something with the process of what the food will look like when it comes out. Don't quote me on it. I'm not an expert, not a pro. And I'm just sharing with you. So this is not do this because Mary said do this. This is me showing you how I go about my canning process. Please follow the guidelines. I shared some of the books with you before. I'm not going to pull those out and share them with you this time around. But there are canning guides that you can follow. And they have had experts put together information so that your food process would be safe. Please follow them. I thank you for watching me, and I thank you for going along with the process with me, but do not view me as the expert. Thanks. Okay. All right, so I'm going to finish processing my ground beef, get it situated, and when I get to the next part, I will bring you along with me. Okay, now I'm back, and what I have going here is some of the ground beef that I have processed. Now this is all browned up and ready to go into the stock pot that I was telling you about. And so I'm going to take that off the stove and put it right here for right now so I can continue to talk. I went ahead and cut my chicken pieces up, and you see that they're like 1-inch chunks. So I've got a big bowl full of the chicken, and I have 3 pounds of ground beef in the stock pot so far. So I've got 3 pounds in the stock pot, 3 pounds of ground beef in the frying pan, and I still have 5 pounds that I need to fry up. But the chicken's all done, and I wanted to show you a little bit about what that is going to look like. So one of the things that I can start doing is I can start putting the chicken into the jars. So when I get all of the jars and everything situated, and I swap out the ground beef from the frying pan into the stock pot and put the other, the 5-pounder into the frying pan, I will come back. Okay, my darlings, I'm back. I'm back with some white vinegar. I'm going to pour that into my little container here. And I'm going to pour a generous amount. It's not a lot, but I'm going to pour a generous amount because when I get finished cleaning off my jars with this, I'm going to pour this into the canner. And again, I'm going to pour that into the canner so that it will help to make sure that my jars stay clear and it doesn't get that film. So I'm going to move that out of the way and come back so that the jars stay clear and we eliminate the film, that white film from getting on our jars. So I have that ready. I have half of the 5-pounder in here, so it's like 3.5 pounds or 2.5 pounds of the ground beef, and it's doing its thing while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to add in a heaping sprinkle of the garlic powder, and here is my onion powder. So I'm going to put in a heaping amount of that. It smells delicious. So I'm going to let the ground beef do its thing. I am now going to go ahead and I'm going to start filling up my jars. Now, so what I have found is for 1 pint, you could probably put in about a pound of the chicken. We're going to see. So what I did was I have, I think I have 11 jars. 3, 6, 9. I need to get a couple more. But they're all clean. I had them over on the table there. So this is 9. No. 10 and 11. So I'm going to bring 11 over. Okay? So I'm going to have 11 total. And I'm going to have 11 total because of the amount of pounds that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting, and I got some tongues. I have some tongues out so that I am going to, so I don't have to get my hands all messy. I already did that part when I was cutting them up. So now I'm just going to shove these into here. I probably don't need the funnel. And oh, before I forget, we're going to fill this up, the chicken up, so that we have about 1 inch headspace, which is to that first rim that I was telling you about. Let me come a little closer. So 1 inch headspace up to the first rim for the most part, okay? So we're gonna stuff it in as much as possible. Probably don't need the funnel, but hey, I'm messy. If you're neat, you probably don't need it, but I do. So I'm gonna start cutting these, or not cutting these up, putting these into the canner. And I think I showed you earlier my sizes, and they're not precise. I'm not perfect, because if I were, then I would be calling myself the maker, and I know darn well I'm not the creator. So I know I'm not perfect. I got many flaws. Not proud of them, but I do have flaws. I can say that. I talked to you a little bit the last time about repentance. I do a lot of that on a daily basis, and that keeps old Slewfoot away from us, is repentance. And you get closer to the Father when you do that too. So, okay, so I've got that one. It looks pretty good. I'm going to come back probably a little later just to make sure that I've got, you know, everything used up, every space used up. We're going to see if this is going to call me a liar. So I'm going to, as far as 1 pound per pint, we're going to see. So right now, they're looking pretty good, packed in there pretty good. I am going to continue on until I have used up all the chicken. And then I'm going to go back with the debubbler. Now this time around we won't have really any bubbles per se, except for when the juices start filling in. But we want to make sure there's no air spaces in the jars with the chicken. So I'll show you that in just a few minutes. I'm going to stick that in there. All of this is clean, as I said before. Everything's been cleaned and sterilized. So I just wanted to kind of, you probably don't want to follow me through until I fill up all of these. So I might just just go ahead and do just a couple of them for you, so that you can follow along. And then I'll speed up the process a little bit so that it's not boring. And I'll come back possibly. You know what? Let me, before I leave you again. No, I'll do it later. I was going to clean one of the rims so that you can kind of see how that process goes. But you know what? I'll wait until I'm done with everything, because I don't want to clean it. I'll just wait. I'll wait until a little bit later to do that. So I have 2 jars filled up so far. We're going to see if this is really going to go, because I didn't measure it before like this. But I'm going to see. I have been um, blessed, because every canning session that I've done so far, the Father has been here with me, and He knows I need Him every day, but I needed Him specifically when I first started canning, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing other than watching other videos. And so I was kind of, doing it by the skin of my nose. And I thank Him because He made me feel confident. And when I was thinking, oh, I'm not doing this right, something's not going right, the next thing I know, I get an indication that, hey, you're doing good, you're doing good. So I thank the Father for following along and showing me and guiding me, and Holy Spirit and Ruach for making sure that I'm not stressed but comforted in the process. So I got my ground beef. It's doing good. It's smelling delicious. And I move this out of the way and reach over. Sorry about reaching over you like that, but I still have some parts of it. Now, you know what I didn't say about the ground beef? I'm going to turn it a little bit to brown it. But what I don't do is I don't, get the pieces all crumbled up into smaller pieces. I leave it chunky, because when it goes through the canning process really cooks it. Doesn't dry it out. It's really good. It's still juicy and everything. But it reduces them. And I've done it before, and I used to just, if I was going to be cooking spaghetti. I don't like big chunks in my spaghetti of the ground beef, so I would, make sure it was chopped up into some nice size little chunks. Well, you don't want to do it that size exactly when you're doing the canning, because at the end of the process, some of the ground beef is just, too small. It's just too small, depending on what you want. I mean, it's okay in spaghetti, but if I'm doing, what did I make? Tacos. It's just trying to, get it out of the jar, get it out of the container that you reheated it in, and it's just that if they're too small, I don't like it that way. It's just too small. It's just too small. So I kind of leave them in chunks like this, big chunks. I don't know if you can see that. It's as opposed to, I mean, this one's a little bit smaller, but I kind of like to leave them chunky. So there's still a little frozen piece in here that's being stubborn, but that's okay. I still have another half of this one to heat up, and while that's going again, I'm still going to go ahead and process the chicken. So what I'm going to do is I'll come back when I have all the chicken ones canned up. I won't clean the tops off. I'll wait and do that when you're with me, and hopefully I can do all of them together, ground beef and the chicken, and have them all jarred up and ready here for you. And I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, I'm back again. Just real quick, I wanted to show you what you can do with the ground beef once it's been canned. Now this one here is one that I'm just processing. I wound up with a little bit more of the ground beef than I actually need for this load that I'm going to do with the chicken and the ground beef. And it is time for my hubby to have lunch. So since I didn't cook anything, fast food, that's what this, the canning is really good food that you put together, and it can be fast because the ground beef is already cooked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a glass bowl, and I'm going to heat it up. Simple as that. While I have the ground beef for the canning that I'm doing, while that's cooling, I'm just going to, and I don't want to miss any in the char, because man, if we took the time to can this, we want to make sure that we eat every little bit of it, right? So, okay, so I'm going to put this in for him for lunch. And then what I do is I get a can of the, what is this? Mild cheddar. Fritos brand, doesn't matter, whatever brand you want. The mild cheddar. And so what I will do is I will heat the meat up a little bit, especially after it's been canned, because it's got a little bit of the fat still on it, in it. I do drain it, but I don't drain it completely, but I do drain it, so it has just a little bit of the grease in it. So what I do is I will heat this. I'm going to throw this in my microwave real quick. And I know a lot of people don't use a microwave, but I still do. I still do. So don't judge me. It's my elbow up in the image there. So these are my covers for when I put things in the microwave. I'm gonna put my jar over in the sink. But real quick meal for him is I get tortilla chips, and the tortilla chips are just plain tortilla chips. We don't get the Doritos or anything like that. It's just plain tortilla chips. And I will take this cheese and mix it in with the ground beef. And then I put it in a little container for him. He gets the chips and he just sits there and he eats the chips with the ground beef with the cheese on it. And actually it's a snack, but it's actually a meal for us. So you can throw on some refried beans and maybe some Spanish rice with it, and there you have a meal. So I just quickly wanted to come because he came up and he's hungry. He's working from home with all the COVID and everything going on. But even before the COVID, he worked from home 2 days out of the week. So now he gets to have me for company every day of the week now. I don't know if he's good with that or not. I think he is. I think he might be. I think he does like them most of the time. So anyways, so I'm going to move that up, I'll put it over here. And then I am going to open this can up. I'm going to pour the cheese in, mix it around. Oopsie. I just got cheese all over me. Just call me cheesy, pleasey. I'll get it off in a minute. I'm not going to stress that right now. So, okay. Got that. I'm going to pour this off into the ground beef and get it all in there. We're going to start stirring that up. But this is like, I mean, when I say super, super duper, this is super easy. If you got kids, I am almost positive that the kids would love this. This is one of my favorites. Again, sorry for scraping. I'm going to get a spoon and see if I can get the rest of that out. But let me kind of turn it around. So it kind of looks like mustard, doesn't it? But it's not. It's a cheese. But I will stir that in there real good. And you can see some of the big chunky pieces of the ground beef because this one didn't get processed. It's still big and chunky. So I'll just kind of mash that up a little bit. Break it down. And I'm going to get a spoon and get the rest of that cheese out. But just so that you can kind of see, And when I get finished with it in the microwave, you'll get a chance to see what it looks like. But let me move this close. And I have the chicken still to do and another ground beef to do. So I'll show you what I do to get all the air pockets out of this here. And in the ground beef, on the ground beef one, I will add some seasoning because I added the seasoning to the ground beef. I did not add anything to the chicken. So we're going to add some salt, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and a little bit of thyme into the chicken. And before we put our tops on, clean it. We're going to clean the tops with the vinegar, and then we will put the rings in the bands, rims, whatever you want to call them. We will put those on. So I'm going to set this to the side. Got my spoon, the rest of mine. I just don't like to waste. I'm pitiful, I know. But I'm very frugal. Don't like to waste. So I'm going to get as much of that off of there as possible. There you go. See? That's how you do that. Alright. So there is that. Put that to the side. Clean my little finger off. Stir it up a little bit. Stick that in the microwave and he's good to go. All he's going to need is his tortilla chips. And he will be a happy camper. So I'm going to stick that in the microwave. And get my glass jar. Put that on a little bit. And he will be all good to go. So again, might as well do it while I'm here right now, while that's heating up. I have the canning salt here. Before I put the seasoning in it, I'm going to take my jar. I'm going to come up a little closer, but I have to get a better grip. Okay, so I'm going to just go around the edges, the rim of the jar, and you can see I'm just kind of pushing it in and pushing the meat down as much as possible, and just want to get all of the air pockets out. You don't want any air pockets in your, and make sure it's kind of packed down as good as possible. So there's that. And then I'm going to put the seasoning in that one. So, get out here. Okay, so I'm going to start with almost a half of a teaspoon of the canning salt. Not completely. So there we have that. And then I'm going to shake in. I'm sorry I'm not measuring. A lot of this stuff I will eyeball. So you know what your flavors, you know what you like. So I just kind of eyeball it. This is the thyme I'm putting in. And just that much. And this one here is the onion powder. So I'm going to put a little bit of the onion powder in. And I like onion. But you know what? It's funny because I'm not a chicken person. I don't eat chicken. My husband is the chicken person. He loves his chicken. I don't like the way chicken tastes. So I'm one of those odd people. My middle daughter got her taste from me, so she doesn't like chicken either. We will eat all the bad stuff. We'll eat the crust off of fried chicken. Okay, this is all, should be good to go. And it is. She will eat the crust. We will eat the crust off of fried chicken, and I will eat chicken so long as it doesn't taste like chicken. I don't like I don't know, what is it? I always say it's a fresh taste to it. My mom says it's gamey, but nowadays she said the chicken that comes from the stores is really not that gamey. If I really was on a farm and we had chicken that way, that's really gamey. But to me, the stuff from the store is gamey enough, so I don't need the stuff from the farm. But she's not. She's like me. We don't do the. Rinse my hands off a little bit. We don't do the chicken, but hubby does. So there's plenty of chicken here for him. So now my chicken has been seasoned. I can put my canning salt away. And I'm going to show you how while this is cooling a little bit, I'm going to show you how I clean the rim of the, um, give me a paper towel here, of the jar. So I'm going to dip that in my vinegar, squeeze it out a little bit, and then I'm going to go along the edges. Can you see that? I'm just going to go around the rim and clean it with some vinegar. That's that white vinegar that I was telling you about. And it's got the little seasoning in it. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see it's got the little seasoning on the top? But it's it's got the one inch headspace. So now this is good to go. I got my rings here, got my magnetic top lid lifter upper, and get that out of the water. And this is warm water. Put my top on, and it's supposed to be finger tight, so I did that. So I processed all of my other chicken beforehand, so that's good to go. So let me make sure that hubby gets his lunch while it's still hot. I'll be right back. Okay, first layer of chicken is in. I'm gonna see if I can bring this up so you can actually see it. Can you see that? That's the first layer. I am going to now use my other layer. I'm going to put this on top and then finish it off. Sorry about that. I'm going to finish it off with putting the, and let me see, I have exactly, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the bottom. I might have to adjust it. We're going to have to wait and see. But I have 9 of these guys in the bottom, and I'm going to put the rest on top. And I'm going to try to layer it so that they're not sitting exactly on top of one another. And I have 3, 6, 8 to go on the top, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to finish doing this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I am about ready to put the lid on. So what I'm going to do is, remember I was telling you about having a little bit of oil. I haven't used this in a few weeks, so what I'm going to do is I have some oil on my fingers, and I am just going to make sure that this thing remains pliable, this ring. I'm not going to take it out. I am just going to run my fingers around the inside of it just to make sure it's lubricated, and then I'll go underneath a little bit just to make sure that it's not going dry. Like I said, it's been a while since I used it. It's clean. I just needed to make sure that I put a little bit of oil on it, but I wanted to show you how I do that. And then, of course, some people call this a nipple. I don't know what the proper term for it is. I called it a plug the last time, I believe. So that is in good working shape. I don't bother with this thing at all. And I want to make sure that the passageway is through for this, which is where I put my the regulator, the weight regulator on. I want to make sure that that is free of anything, so I told you I put it up to the light. I check it that way. The other way that I check it is I just kind of put my hand here, and if just make sure that it's free. It's free. It's free. It's free indeed. It's free. So I put my water in, and what you're going to do is you're going to check with what the manufacturer says as far as how much water to put in your pressure canner. With this Presto, I have to make sure. With this Presto canner that I have here, there are markings along the inside wall. And so I think that this one here, I think I heard somebody once say that it was 3 quarts of water that goes in here. I just fill it up to the line that's on the inside. Just check with your manufacturer's guide and see how much water you need to put in yours. So I have my water in, I have my two trays. The one on the bottom, I have my canning jars on the bottom, and I stacked the second tray on top of that, and then I have my uh, canning jars with the meat ready to be processed. So for this guy here, I have open and close indicator here that has like a little bit of a triangle. So I'm just going to match that up, sit it down in, and just bring it together. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot something. Before I close this up and seal it and get it ready to go, remember the vinegar? We want to make sure we don't have the film on the outside of it, and this helps. So I'm going to pour my vinegar in the water. Okay? So it has that. So I'm glad I remembered. I'm glad I remembered. I want to make sure that my jars stay clean and clear. They're clean, but I just want to make sure that they stay clear. So I am going to start this on a pretty high temperature. And what I want it to do is, once it starts heating up really good, I'm going to keep an eye on this and this. And when I say this and this, the plug that I showed you that toggles back and forth, when this starts heating up and getting hot, this plug is going to raise up. It'll rise up, and it will have, mine has, it spews a little bit of the steam out of it. I don't know how everybody else's does, but that's what mine does. So when that happens, that's just the beginning of the process. And then when this will start seeping steam, when the steam starts coming out of this area, and this is where the weight regulator goes. When the steam starts coming out of this and it's a steady stream, what I will do at that point is start my timer, because what we want to do is we want to wait 10 minutes before we actually put our regulator, our weight regulator on. And again, you find out for your area. For my area, my weight is 10 pounds, okay? It's for the sea level. I am between 1 and 1,000. So depending on where you live, check the guideline books to find out what weight you're going to need to process your canner. For me, it's going to be 10 pounds. So when that steady stream is coming out, I'm going to wait 10 minutes. I'm going to put my timer on. I'm going to wait 10 minutes, and then I will put this on. Okay? When I put this on, then I'm going to begin to watch the needle on the gauge, because once this needle gets to the point where it's at the 10, and I'm okay with it being between 10 and 11, okay? So if it goes a little bit to 11, I'm okay with that. I don't freak out or anything like that. I just don't want it to go any higher than that. So once it gets to a level where I'm kind of comfortable and I see it's going up and I want it to kind of level off, I will turn the heat down on my range. And that's pretty much it for now. So I'm going to take this back off. I'm going to let this go ahead and do its thing so that it can steam up. I already have it on. The stove is on. And we are good to go. When this steam starts coming up, I'll come back. And hopefully I'll be able to show it to you. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I have a steady stream of steam coming out of where the weight regulator goes. So it's time for me to put the weight on, it's time for me to time it for 10 minutes. When I time it for the 10 minutes, then I will put the weight on. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do now. So I'm going to put my 10 minutes in and start that. And when it goes off after being on for the 10 minutes, then I'm going to take and I'm going to put the weight on. And I also realized that I had more ground beef than I could actually fit in the canner this time around, so I'm going to have to do 2 loads. 2 times processing the canner. And this time around I'm going to have to wait for it to cool off again, because this again will be going in, because I let this cool down. This is the ground beef that's left over. I let this cool down, so I'm going to have to make sure that this cools down, and everything that I put in the canner for the second go round is going to be cold. I tell you. Okay, so this is a clean lid and band for the ground beef. What I did not show you was how tight to put the lid and the band on. How the lid just goes on the top, of course, but they tell you to do this finger tight. So you put it on. I just do a quick, and then I use my left hand, hold it with my right hand, and I just do a good twist. Bam, that's it. They say finger tight, but see, my hands don't work like that, don't work that good, and I don't know how yours are. So I just do that little bit of a twist there with mine, and voila, it's done. So these guys here are gonna go in and be processed after this batch gets done. So we're counting down our 10 minutes. When that's up, we're gonna put the regulator weight on. When the weight goes on, then I'm going to keep an eye on this gauge. And again, I want this gauge to reach between 10 and 11. When it gets to, when it gets close to that, I kind of turn my temp down a little bit. Because right now it's up high. And I'll turn that down a little bit just to make sure that it stays at the pressure that we need it to stay at to process my ground beef and my chicken. So again, they're going to be processed once I put the weight on and we get to the 10-11 on the gauge. Then we're going to count. We're going to put the timer on again, and this time around we're going to put it on for 75 minutes. We're doing 75 minutes because we are canning pints. Again, if it was for the quarts, that would be 90 minutes. So we're going to only do 75 minutes. So the second go round, I don't want to put 5 jars in this canner. The full load with regular mouth jars is 18. So you best believe this kiddo is going to make sure that is full. The second go round as well. So what I have decided I'm going to do is I got my little tray out here, and I got my jar of northern beans out, and I'm going to use my little tray, and I'm going to sort the beans and get rid of all the ugly bad ones, and I'm going to rinse them off real good, wash them off real good, and then once that's done, I am going to fill up a few jars. Now with these guys here, for a pint, I do believe that I'm supposed to use a half cup per pint. And I think it's, it is half cup. If not, I'll put the info up, down, whatever. It'll be in the description, or I'll put it up on the screen. But I think it's a half a pint for half a cup for a pint, and it is a cup for a quart. Since we're doing pints, we're going to do half. The other thing that I'm going to do is some black-eyed peas. So I don't know, and I do have more beans and I do have more peas, but I'm not going to open up another one of these. So we're going to work with what we have here. If I run out of northerns and I run out of black-eyed peas and I still have jars left, I will get some lentils out and I will put lentils in. And the same thing applies for the lentils, whether it's black-eyed peas, whether it's grape northerns, whether it's my husband's favorite. My favorite too is the pintos, although black-eyed peas are my favorite as well. Lentils, it doesn't matter. I pretty much process them the same way. I will either use, most of the time I will use, excuse me, I will use beef broth. Sometimes I'll use an onion broth for this, and sometimes I'll just use plain water. And because I share a lot of this with my mother, and she's got diabetes and high blood pressure, and because of that, I try not to put too much salt in, so that she needs to put something in, she can measure in what she needs, but that it's not too salty. If we need to add more, we can always add more to it later on. But I do put in, and I water down. I want to say that. If I put in the beef broth, or if I put in a vegetable broth, or if I put in onion broth, I make sure I water it down so it's not real salty. So that's what's going on here. I still have a, excuse me, I still have a few minutes before that alarm goes off. And then again, I'll put this on. But what I will generally do is I will take these guys out and I put them in my tray. I pour a few of them in the tray. And then I pick them. Come a little bit closer so you can see. So, I don't know if you can see. Let's do it this way. I'll pick a few bad ones out so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And you want to do this because sometimes there's stones in here, and you don't want to process stones. You don't want to cook that. Let's see if I can show you one. See this one here. And don't look at my nails. I'm a farm type of girl at this point in time. No, I shouldn't say farm. I'm a garden girl at this point in time. So my fingernails and stuff are not all that manicured and all that other stuff, but I really don't care. But anyways, see, that's a bad one. Then you find some of those that are in there that are halves. And that's a half. So I get rid of them. I get rid of the ones that are brown at the tip, like that. So, any of them that have marks on them, not the best. So I get rid of stuff like that, okay? So, just want to make sure I did that. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to clean these guys up when I get done, picking out the good and the bad and the ugly. And leaving all the ones that we want to keep. I said the good, the bad, and the ugly, so we keep the good ones. The bad and the ugly are the ones that we get rid of. So when I get done picking through, and I only have the good ones left, then what I will do is I will clean them real good. When I get finished cleaning them, I will measure them out, put them in the cups. I'll put them in my canning jars. And when I'm done with these, I'll do the black eyed peas. And when I'm done with the black eyed peas, if I haven't filled up all my jars, I will do lentils until I have 18 jars, just like I have in the canner right now. So, I think that was, oh, one more thing before I go to the next section. Get rid of this. I am keeping these. This is what the canning jars came out of. So what I do is I go through, let's see if I can do this, and I will cut into it like this, so that I've got a little bit of a lid, a little bit of a cover. And so when I store these guys, they go back in the jar. The jars go back in the box that they came in, and I can use this because they go down in the basement. Not that they're there that long, because we do go through this, we eat quite a bit of this, the things that we can, so they don't really, the shelf life is not that long. Okay, so my timer's going off. I'm going to shut that off. Boom. And that tells me it's time. Be careful, this thing is hot. I can put my regulator on. And so I'm going to be listening for it. Now this is the jiggle type one. So I'm going to be listening for that. Once it reaches the 10, I'm going to be listening for this to start doing this jiggle dance. I'm happy when it does the jiggle dance because at that point in time, I know we're on the road, on the journey to good things and good eats. So, put my beans over here, my black eyed peas over here. We got that going. And I'm gonna wait until the gauge gets to about 5. When it gets to the 5, that's when I start kind of playing around with the temperature, bringing the heat down a little bit, because I want it to get to a steady spot between that 10 and 11. Father is always the one that says, I can help you get there, and I depend on him to do that. So when that happens, I'll turn it down, and then it will slowly rise up to the 10. When it gets to the 10 and the 11, it's this here is going to start doing a dance. It's going to go start rocking from side to side. It dances better than Elvis does, but not better than Chuck Berry. So that's what we're going to be looking for in the next few minutes. So when that starts doing its thing, I'll bring you back. Okay, I think that we found that sweet spot that we wanted to stay at. The temp, I just make sure that the temp is down a little lower than what it was beforehand. I'm looking at between 10 and 11. Right now we're in a real sweet space. We're right perfectly at the spot that I wanted to stay at. So I don't want it to go any higher than that. As you'll see or hear, we're doing a happy dance here. That's exactly what we want it to do. We don't want it to go any faster than what it's going. We want it to go just like it's going now. So if we can keep that at a steady pace, what I'm going to do is once it's sitting there and it doesn't look like it's moving, which I think that we're going to be good. What I will do at that point is I'm going to set the timer for my 75 minutes. So we're doing good right now. So I'm just going to watch it for a little bit. I just want to make sure it's not going to go further than the 11. So far we're looking good. But I don't go too far away from the stove because I want to make sure it stays within its range. If it goes too far up, then I go into panic mode. I shouldn't, but I go into kind of panic mode, like, Father, help me with this, and He helps bring it back down. Which that really only happened one time throughout the whole time that I've been canning, and I've been doing it for now a whole year. So only one time. I must not have been watching. I don't know what I was doing, but it was starting to inch its way towards like 12, 13. Looked like it was trying to get to 14. I'm like, no, this is not working. This is not working. Get back over there. And again, I talked to the Father, and it ended up moving back. So we're looking good. It doesn't look like it's inching up. However, better safe than sorry, right? So I'm just going to turn the temp just a tiny bit down, just a little bit lower, because I want it to stay right there. And right now we're looking pretty good. We are looking pretty good. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, I don't think it's going to go any higher than that. We're doing the happy dance. We're doing the happy dance. We're doing the happy dance. So I'm going to set the time for my 75 minutes. And we are canning, people. We are canning. When this is complete, it's very satisfying. It is, when I say very satisfying, it's very satisfying. The little dance here that the regulator does makes me happy. It doesn't take much, but it makes me happy. And I'm even happier when the whole process is done. I can take my beauties out of the canner and I put them on the counter here. And even as I'm putting them on the counter from the canner, the lids begin to pop. You want to listen for that pop, because that pop is telling you you've got a seal. And that's exactly what you want. You want all of these beautiful jars that you put in that canner. When you take them out, you want them all to seal, because then that promises you that you've got the shelf life that you need if you want to leave them on the shelf for the extended period of time. Okay? So, happy dance is going on right now. We're doing good. I will come back at you when I get to the next step. So stay tuned. Okay, the timer has gone off. I silenced it because it was being noisy, but the timer went off, and so what I did was I turned the stove off. So the stove's off. The pressure is still high. So what we need to do now is we need to wait for that heat, for that pressure to lower. When it goes all the way down to the 0, that's when it would be safe for us to go ahead and take off the regulator, the weight. And we also want to wait until the nipple slash plug goes back in. When those two, when this reaches 0 and the plug or the nipple goes back in, at that point I'm probably going to let it sit for maybe 5 minutes after that. And then what I'm going to do is I will take off the regulator, and hopefully I'm giving you that information in the right order. So we want this to go back to 0. When it goes back to 0 and the plug has gone down, then we will take a chance and take the regulator off. At that point it should be safe. Like I said, I'll wait a few minutes after those things have done, and then I will take the regulator off, and then take all of my lovelies out so that you get a chance to see what we've done. And I'm still in the process right now of getting the beans. It's my black-eyed peas, getting them ready. They don't have any broth or anything in them at this point in time. I'm still sorting through the lentils. Here are my lentils. And I have my Great Northerns. So I have the 3 flavors of beans that I'm prepping. Right now I have 2 more jars of the lentils to sort through, clean off or clean, and get into the jars. And then it's going to be a big wait, because for all of this stuff that's going to happen here, it's probably going to be about an hour or so for the pressure to go down, for it to cool off enough that I can actually take the regulator off. And then after that, I've got to let this pot cool off, because I only have the one. Maybe one of these days I might do something somewhat smart and get 2 of them so I can operate them at the same time. But I must be getting a little bit better at this, because now I'm talking about doing 2 at one time. So slow down, Mary. No, but that is something to consider in the future. But I have 2 more jars left to do. I gotta let this guy cool off before I can actually put the next 18 in here. So, and then I'll go through the whole process again of making sure that I've got the proper amount of water in here. I will again put vinegar in, and I will do the double stack like I did beforehand. You won't see all of that, but I'll do the double stack. And what I will do is come back when this is all done, and magically it'll be a few minutes for you, and you'll see me remove the lid and take the lovelies out of the canner. So stay with me. Be right back. Okay, my gauge has worked its way back down to 0. I'm still waiting on the plug slash nipple to go down, and the regulator, it's a little hot, so be careful. The regulator weight is still on, so I've not removed that, but I came back because I wanted to talk to you about the bonus part of it, because we weren't expected to do beans today, but hey, it happens. I wound up with, normally when I do the ground beef, I just do the ground beef, but today I knew wasn't going to have enough for the chicken for a full pot, so I said, okay, I'm going to combine it, because we go through the ground beef quite a bit, pretty fast, so I'll just combine it. So I wound up with more ground beef than I had room for the first batch of canning that I did. So because we had extras, I'm gonna run through this process again. I want to say thank you for those that are still hanging in there with me. If you're still here, thanks a bunch. We're gonna go through the same process, but I'm not gonna film all of that. For the most part, you have it. If you've been with me through this video, you know what you got to do. For the beans, I have pinto beans. No, I don't. I have lentils. I have black-eyed peas, and I have Great Northerns. And for all of them, I am using a beef broth, and this one just happens to be Swanson's. I'm not a brand person, but it just so happens that that's what I use today. And this is 32 ounces. And so what I did was I mixed one of these with water, 2 times the size of this, if that makes any sense. So I put in a full bottle of the broth, 32 ounces, and then I doubled up on the water in that amount. So in here. So what I did was I doubled this. I just filled this up with water twice. Make it simple. Keep it simple. And that's what I'm going to use to add to each of the jars for the beans. And I will go up to the 1 inch, leave a 1 inch headspace for each one of these. I will debubble, just like I showed you with the meat. Now the meat was more so not to debubble, but to get rid of any air that would, that was in between the pieces of meat. But this guy's here, I will debubble. I will clean the tops off again, even though there's no grease or anything with this. I will still clean the tops off with this because I'll have the broth in there. And then I will get that ready to go in and be processed. So I was just waiting on this guy to do its thing so that I can take that off and then I can show you. Excuse me, 1 second. Toss that away, get rid of that. But then I was going to show you. Oh, don't do that. Do as I say. Don't do as I do. I shouldn't have touched it, but it went down. It looks fine. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Just don't do what you see me doing. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the regulator off. Careful. Like I said, it is hot still. I will take that off, put that to the side. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit. While that's doing its thing, I am going to go ahead. I've got my lids are in some warm water. I have my vinegar over here. I don't have paper towel. Get a paper towel. And what I'm going to do is, my rings are over there too. I'm going to start pouring in my liquid, my broth. Okay? So I will do a few of these. I won't do all of them. I'm just going to wait long enough so that I can take the top off and I can show you my lovelies. Excuse my back, but I'm going to take this up to, here we go. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to leave the debubbler in and see if I can bring this around. So we want this liquid to go up to that bottom rim, that bottom band right there. Okay, so I'm going to debubble, and I probably will have enough room for a little bit more because it probably will, because I'm debubbling. This is debubbling. And sometimes you can actually see, once you know what you're looking for, you can actually see the bubbles that will be released when you do that. I'm going to go on to the next one. And sometimes if you want to, you can use the ladle. This is just a little easier for me. Putting it in a picture. And I can go up a little higher on this one. I probably will go up a little higher on that one there too. But I'm going to finish up and do some more because I want to make sure that each of them have at least the same amount of broth in it before I move on. So we have 2 lentils, and you know what this worked out to be? This is 2.5 cups of lentils. I wound up with 2 cups of Great Northerns, and I got 2 cups of the black eyed peas out of the beans that I sorted. Now I'm moving these over to the other side, but I still might have to put some more liquid in, like this one here. It's going to need it. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it, people. And I probably put a little too much in that. Let me see. No, I guess we're good. I think we'll be okay. We will be fine. We will be just fine. Okay, this is looking good. I'm going to move these guys over here so that I can get the hot ones out. And the hot ones are going to come. I'm sorry, I got my back to you again. Hopefully you heard everything that I said and it didn't come out like I was mumbling. But what I'm going to do is position these guys over here for right now. I'm going to take out the hot ones because that's really what I wanted to do. I don't want to have to take you guys through the whole process with the beans. I think you've seen enough of that. So we're going to open this guy up. I'm going to slide it open. And I'm going to open it away from me so that I don't burn myself. So we want to be careful with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this the top over and put it over by my sink area so that it can cool off. So open it away from you. See how the water was released. And then I'm going to bring it over here and let it cool off on its own. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be listening for the pop. We get the pop, we're doing good. And we also wanted to look at it. I kind of look it over a little bit to make sure that none of the juices siphoned out and caused issues there. We're looking okay so far. So I'm going to go ahead and get my, what did I say this was? It's like tongs. Jar lifter. There you go. I'm going to take the jar lifter and I'm going to start lifting some of these guys out so that you can see what they look like. So this is our ground beef. Can you see it? Still bubbly, still cooking. Can you see that? Looks pretty good. Take that out. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to get me a pot holder. So that if I accidentally touch it, which I might be prone to do, this is the chicken. You see that chicken? And you see at the top of it, there's juices in there. I did not put water in this. So that broth is from the chicken. Fully cooked, ready to eat. Of course, we're not going to eat it. It is going on the shelf, but it won't last very long. My husband, again, is a big meat eater. But what do you think? Yeah? Not bad, huh? Fast food. Fast food. Straight from the canner. So I'm going to take these guys out. I'm not going to have you wait. Hopefully we can get a ping or two going so that you can hear it. These guys are looking really good. Hopefully we can get a ping or two. And then that way you'll know, if you're not familiar with it, you'll know what it sounds like. But that's like music to my ears. But we're looking pretty good. Pretty good. I like. And then I'll take the second layer out, get those out, put them on to cool. I will finish up putting the broth in these guys. Let this cool off before I put those guys in, and I'll do another batch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back so that you can see what this looks like tomorrow. So I'm going to leave the lids on, and not the lids. I'm going to leave the rims on for 24 hours, overnight. Pretty much overnight. I'm going to leave these guys on, and in the morning I will take them off, but I'll bring you back, and that way you can see what I do. Because what I'm going to do then is I will take the rims off, and I will put what it is and date it on the top, and then those guys are ready to go to be stored. And then at that time you'll also see the beans as well. So I hope that you had an opportunity to learn at least what I know as far as canning ground beef and chicken, and then also canning dry beans, because these were all dry. I didn't soak them overnight or anything like that. You saw that I just sorted through them, rinsed them real good, got them clean, measured them, put them in the jars, put the broth in. That's it. So this is dry beans, no soak method, and so you'll see the results or the end results of these guys in the morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you. Hopefully you learned something. And if you have questions, if you have any suggestions on what you would like to see me doing, other than the canning, because I know I've had requests for the laundry detergent and the fabric softener, so I could probably put a video together making a batch of both of those. No problem. If you want to see it, let me know. So if you have not subscribed to me, please subscribe and hit the notification button so the next time I put a new video out, you will be notified. If you like it, give me a like. If you want to talk to me, put a comment in the comment section, and we can chat. Like I said, if you have any suggestions, put them in the comment section. So thank you. And don't forget, share this with your friends. You know what? One more thing before I go. I I want to give a little bit of I have to always give thanks to the Father. So here it is. Live with an attitude of gratitude. Just simple. Live with an attitude of gratitude. In everything, give him thanks. In everything, give him glory. This canning session today, I give him glory and I thank him. So in everything, give him thanks. Live with an attitude of gratitude. Thank you, my darlings, for joining me. Until next time. Good morning, all. It's the morning after, and I wanted to come back and show you the end result of our canning. So these are the black-eyed peas, and what I've done is I've taken, for each one of these, I have taken and given it a bath in some hot water, hot soapy water, clean it off real good, but then you want to also check to make sure that all of the lids have sunk in and they're not popping back. You would get a popping back sound from these guys if they had not sealed. So each one of these guys have been washed. The rims, the rim band, whatever you want to call it, has been taken off. And as you can see, these are my lentils. It came out beautifully. The chicken and the ground beef is here. So they have all been washed and they're ready to be labeled. And I'll put the labels on the top. Some people put labels, little cute labels on the sides, but I'll put mine. I'll just mark on the top of mine the date and what they are. Simple as that. So this is the end result of the work that we did yesterday. So we let them sit overnight, and I said that beforehand. You let them sit overnight. You clean them up real good because you don't want food or anything else left on the outside of it. You don't want to get insects or anything else that might be attracted to it. So just clean them up real good. And that, my dears, is the end of ground beef, chicken, and my beans. So I showed you my lentils, my Great Northern, maybe I did not, Great Northerns that came out again beautifully, and my black-eyed peas. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.